Think of the toughest country in the world, and you probably don't think of France. But France has a bloody history. Revolution, Nazi occupation, and brutal urban rioting that continues to this day. Out of this violence and anarchy has sprung a vicious martial art, Savate.
We've come to France to explore the history and origins of this brutal fighting style. We'll train with street fighters, anti-terror squads, and legendary masters. Then, one of us is going to step into the ring with a Savate champion.
There are hundreds of distinct fighting styles in the world. They are practiced in every nation and by every people. Now, Jason Chambers, a mixed martial artist and professional fighter, and Bill Duff, a former pro football player and wrestler, are embarked on a mission to explore the history and techniques of these incredible martial arts. And at the end of each journey, one of these two warriors will face the ultimate test. They'll try to survive a real fight with a true human weapon.
Marseille, on the Mediterranean coast, is France's oldest city. It may not look it, but it's also one of its toughest. These picturesque boulevards and historic ports hide the drug dealers, immigrants, and dock workers that keep this city at the boiling point.
Violent street fights have been a part of life here for centuries, and it's no surprise that this city helped create one of the most respected martial arts in the world, Savate. And we're here just in time for the Savate National Championships.
Kicked him in the face there. Ooh, nice kick.
That's funky. In a Savate match, fighters, or saboteurs as they're called, use powerful combinations of kicks and punches to attack their opponent. Like American boxing, matches are won by either knockout or points. But Savate can be a heck of a lot more violent than regular boxing. The legs have twice the muscle mass of the arms, and a kick can be more than twice as powerful as a punch. Most referees try to stop bouts before a fighter is knocked unconscious, but the speed at which these guys move can make this impossible. Thousands of head injuries are caused every year by Savate fights.
Oh, nice. Right.
I noticed in Savate, they throw about as many punches as they do kicks, which is different because in American kickboxing, usually you'll start with your hands and you'll finish with a kick. Here, if they're throwing 20, 30 punches around, they're throwing at least 20, 30 kicks around.
The word Savate translates literally as old shoe. And today, it's the only competitive kickboxing sport in the world where contestants wear boots. They're similar to wrestling shoes, but with reinforced toes and heels. That's gotta hurt. The shoes are a reminder of Savate's origins. The art evolved in the early 1800s when sailors, dock workers, and gang members developed deadly techniques designed to ensure victory on some of the toughest streets in the world.
Though most of us think of France as a place of wine, cheese, and art, during the years following the French Revolution, this country was among the most violent places on earth. 18,000 people were killed by the guillotine alone in just 1 year, and the streets literally flowed with blood. This chaotic environment was the perfect breeding ground for the martial art of Savate, and for decades it existed solely as a means of survival.
Even after becoming an official sport in the 1830s, it maintained its reputation of violence. In fact, a Dutch Savateur made it through to the final fight of the first ever Ultimate Fighting Championship.
Oh!
Hit with the right.
Oh, he's rocked. You ever been kicked in the face with a hard shoe?
You ever been kicked in the face with a hard kick?
Yes.
That explains a lot.
When the matches wrapped up, we were introduced to a legend in the sport, a former Savate champion named Gilles Ladwigo. Ladwigo is best known for a full-contact bout in Japan. In the early rounds of the fight, kicks from his Japanese opponent had broken both of Ludwigo's arms. He continued the fight anyway, relying almost entirely on Savate's powerful kicks, and won. Now, Ludwigo told us that he could arrange for us to fight a Savate champion.
So we're going to go around and learn Savate all around France.
Yes.
And at the end of that, you have someone that me or Jason could fight, right?
Yes, I organized the little test, is a little challenge in Paris.
So who's the guy that you have for us to fight?
Fighter, very tall, very good fighter, because he was last champion, okay? Maybe 3-4 years ago. He's very good, okay? And I think it could be a very big test for you.
A very big test against a very big guy. Issa Sissoko. At 6'2", he's one of the most successful fighters the sport has ever seen, with just 4 losses in 24 fights and 10 knockouts.
Now, is our fight going to be a combat fight, or is it going to be something that's more point-based?
No. Full contact.
Full contact.
Because big test is full contact.
Our training began on the docks of Marseille. It was here that French sailors developed kicking techniques that would form the foundation of some of Savate's killer strikes. The man who would teach us these strikes was Frédéric Barré, a Savate master and historian. Sometimes going for as long as 3 months without seeing land, sailors quickly became bored and aggressive at sea. They devised a violent game they could play even when the seas were so rough they couldn't stand upright. Holding on to ropes, the sailors would kick each other until one literally hit the deck. The sailors named their fighting game after the felt shoes they wore to prevent slipping on wet decks, chaussons.
How did the sailors, back when this first originated, actually use this game?
He's going to show you. Oh, okay. Oh, using the balance. So you'd use the other sailors kind of to get balance and the ropes and things on the ship.
In time, sailors gave names to the moves. According to Barré, one of their most important moves was a chausson snap kick.
That's a whole lot of kicks. That's like a jab, a hook, and a back fist all in one.
Yeah.
While it looks straightforward enough, doing it on a ship was tricky.
Okay, so 1. Ooh, that's a lot harder. I'm holding the ropes. See, the boat lists, too, and I guess if you're on the water, the boat would be rocking. So holding onto the ropes is a viable alternative to having good balance. 1. Oh, that's harder. I'm using the ropes. I thought I was cooler. Give it a shot, Bill.
All right.
That's harder than it
Should
looks.
I hold the rope?
Well, let me tell you. I think you should hold the ropes.
Being on a moving ship doesn't actually affect the force of the kick, just your balance.
Okay.
The twisting power of the hips remains the same.
Nice.
It's this principle that makes these chausson kicks just as devastating as those delivered on land.
All right. Good job.
Ask him who did it better.
Oh, yes! How you like that?
Hey, you know what? I can totally concede to that. You look prettier doing it, too.
To help us develop our balance, Barré had us train just like the 18th century sailors did. He hung a 10-pound bag of rice over the mast. As we soon learned, it's the accuracy of the strikes, not just the power, that matters.
So this is one of the training methods that while you're on the boat, you have the boat rocking all over the place. This would help you not only in the fight, but also develop the attributes of accuracy and getting your balance so that if you were fighting in rough seas or if you fell, you had your hands on the ground, you could still focus a kick that was accurate. So I want to put my hands and kick with my left foot. So hands here and foot up there. Ready? Okay.
I think he was kicking with his back foot. That's it.
Hey, good.
Yeah.
Huh? Give it a shot, Bill. It's all right. You're close. You're like getting an inch away. Nice. You got a lot on that one, man. So now this is a chausson move because you're using the deck, you're using something to balance. But how would you translate this move into something that we could use in a Savate fight?
Beret explained the Chausson high kick eventually evolved into the fouette, the Savate whip kick to the face.
So this kick is more like a revolver as opposed to a grenade. It's not a wild, big kick. It's kind of point and shoot. Attack. It's fast and to the point, right? Which is exactly the kind of kick we'll need against our Savate champ.
Okay. What's important is the balance of the body to stay right, okay, and to have this rotation with the foot.
First, the hips pivot on the front leg, forming a solid whip handle. Then, the back leg's knee is bent upwards and projected towards the center line of the opponent. At the last second, the foot is snapped forward over the knee, like the end of a whip, and smacks into your opponent's face. This roundhouse kick is designed for maximum impact. With the powerful muscles of the thigh yanking the tendon over the knee, the foot accelerates from 0 to 21 miles per hour in just 1/3 of a second. Combine that with the reinforced shoe, and this kick can drive the nose bone back up into the brain.
I have a question. Would this be a move that you could kick twice? Like you could come kick two? So you don't always have to re-chamber after and get in place. You can just go.
Yeah.
The fouette kick was pretty cool, but we need more than a single kick to survive a fight against a heavyweight Savate champ. Our next stop would take us to the gritty back streets of Paris to learn vicious street fighting moves from one very tough cop.
Paris. Famous throughout the world as the City of Love, it's home to such landmarks as the Arc de Triomphe and the Eiffel Tower. But Paris is also the city where just 2 years ago, 3,000 rioters were arrested after setting hundreds of cars on fire and destroying $200 million worth of property. But this was just the most recent page in France's history of urban violence. And it's this history of street fighting that gave birth to Savate. So to learn our next move, we'd come to the streets of Paris, to Parc Monceau, in the north of the city.
There we met Eric Caquet, a former police officer and founder of the modern-day technique, Défense dans la rue, which means street fighting and self-defense.
So what are you guys doing here? You look like you're getting mugged.
Actually, self-defense.
All the French martial arts.
Self-defense?
Yes, it's an old way to practice because in the first time it was a self-defense, not boxe française.
By the early 1800s, the Industrial Revolution had launched a massive urban migration in France. Tens of thousands of men and women from across the country poured into Paris in search of jobs. But squalid living conditions and cramped tenements bred a new kind of trouble: violent street gangs.
To help people defend themselves against these criminals, a man named Michel Cassot opened the first Savate training school in 1825. Cassot taught a hybrid version of Chausson from Marseille and street fighting from Paris.
He called it the art of Savate, after the beat-up boots the Parisian thugs wore. Today, many call Cassot the father of Savate. One of the most fundamental techniques he taught was a move still in use today, chassé bas.
For example, come.
Oh, okay. So it kind of stops him from coming in.
Yes. Raise the knee, and with hips you do like that.
Kind of like has like a piston action to it.
Yeah, definitely. To execute the chassé bas, the fighter raises his leg and then pistons his foot into the lower leg of his opponent, hitting him with the hardest part of his boot, the heel.
Now, are you aiming with the knee?
It's up, okay, up, pull back.
In this move, the forward propulsion of the hips, combined with the piston motion of the lower leg, can send well over 700 pounds of force directly through the rigid bone of the heel.
This impact won't just knock an opponent down. The force is enough to permanently damage his kneecap.
Comes.
Oh, okay. So it kind of stops him from coming in. This is good too, Bill, because it keeps him out of striking range, so we can kind of use this in the ring too.
Yeah, maybe to get a guy off your face if he's punching you a whole bunch. So he comes at you, you just push off, you're clear.
So it just keeps them at a distance so that they can't punch you and you don't have to deal with it as close, right?
Yes.
Well, let's practice it a few times, huh?
It's unique to Savate, and as rumor has it, a favorite of Bruce Lee's when he encountered Savate in the 1970s. Pull it back as soon as you kick.
Yes. Okay.
How's that going? Good?
On the hip.
Yes. Let's. You know?
If you use this kick on the hip, you'll take the center of balance away, put your opponent on. Okay.
Against you, it's better to do it on the knee because you are.
If he's a bigger guy, you want to aim more at a joint because
It's more effective.
Yes.
It's all about effectiveness when someone's coming at you to beat your ass. Learning this kick is great for me. Using this piston action, I think with my power, I'll be able to shove this guy almost out of the ring. And then once I get him off balance, I can just land a couple rights. That's it. But Eric wasn't done with us just yet. To test out our new street fighting skills, he put us in full protective gear and let us duke it out.
I feel like a horse wearing blinders with all this stuff on.
Go.
That's me on the right. A few cautious blows and then he goes for the kick to my head. Big mistake. Now I've got him where I want him. I'm relying on my MMA reflexes here more than Savate, but it feels good.
This is taking Savate to a whole different level. This isn't the refined Savate. This is Savate a la give me your money, fight or flight Savate. Bill, you're up.
Go.
I could feel him watching me looking for that kick. When I look for that kick, he'd hit me with a little annoying jab, a little leg kick. It's really technical for me because I'm used to just dropping a bomb on somebody.
Turn. Stop.
Okay.
Now that we had the chasse kick down, it was time to travel to the left bank of the Seine. Once home to artists like Picasso and Matisse, it was also a drug and crime-infested slum whose streets were lined with brothels and opium dens.
But we're here to learn the art of the punch. Our teacher, Lionel Kurtz, president of the Savate Association, Paris Division.
How are you?
It's okay.
That was really impressive.
Thanks.
What is this?
Cane de combat.
Cane to combat.
Okay, it's a. What part is this one with the French boxing?
French boxing?
Yeah.
So why do you guys practice with the cane?
Because you have to defend yourself. It was difficult with only the feet, okay? So when someone come, bang.
Oh, so you guys would use the cane because people back in the day, that was just like a natural tool that they had.
Sure. I will show you, okay?
In an effort to reduce public dueling and street crime, in 1872, the French government banned men from wearing swords and firearms in public. But they didn't say anything about canes. Not only were they fashionable, in well-trained hands like Lionel's, they could be deadly. Today, cane work is still considered an important way to prepare for a Savate fight.
So I see that there's a lot of moves that the cane movements have that are similar to boxing. I mean, you have your footwork, your hip movements, and the angles of attack. But what's a really specific move that you could teach us you think that's going to really benefit us in a Savate fight?
Perhaps we can see the jab or the direct together.
Jab, direct?
Yeah.
Oh, jab?
Jab.
I'm familiar with the jab.
Yeah.
Can you show us the way you guys would do a jab?
Yeah.
From boxing and MMA, Jason and I both know how to throw a jab. But the jab Lionel taught us was just the first part of a strategic punch-kick combo called the point de foi direct visage.
It's not in the front of you. It's not bing, bing. Because if you do that, I go on the side with the range of my punch. Touch. Yeah. Touch more. One and go outside. And now, bing, bing. Just touch, go inside and swirl your lips.
You have a shot too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Again.
To execute the point de foi direct visage, you use your fist to draw your opponent off balance.
Yeah, sure. You get it.
Then, as he lowers his guard, you fire the point of your foot between his 9th and 10th rib.
Boom. Oh, so you're like almost stepping back.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
Long. Yeah, sure.
It's aimed at the largest gland in the human body, the liver. A direct hit won't just bring an opponent down. It can rupture the gland, causing severe internal bleeding. But the liver is well protected by the rib cage, so the kick must be accurate to within half an inch.
So if I went the other way, too close? Okay.
Around. Yeah, it's okay.
Oh, so that way I'm out of the punching range. By stepping off, it takes it away from the punching.
Escape.
You're saying if I'm too close, I'm gonna get labeled like that. That's exactly what's gonna happen. Okay.
You know, this power jab is going to be key for me. I don't see myself hitting a lot of kicks from distance, so once I get him close, I'll push him back, hit him with a liver kick. He won't see it coming.
Using the jab, it's a great measuring tool. Keeps distance, it's a good defensive, good offensive tool. But using that to set up the liver kick and using the point of the boot, man, that really puts together a lethal combination.
We were starting to build a good foundation in Savate. But in a sport so fast and furious, we needed to add some more combos to our repertoire before we were ready to fight. And who better to give us that killer instinct than the men of France's elite anti-terrorist force, RAID.
Since World War I, Savate has been an integral component of French military and police training. It's a tradition that's proudly carried on today by France's elite special forces team, RAID. RAID stands for Research, Assistance, Intervention, and Dissuasion. Just the guys to pound us into shape for our upcoming fight.
RAID headquarters is nestled deep in the woods at a former 19th century monastery. Because of their elite status, we were brought to it in total secrecy.
I feel like we're about to get a mission we can't refuse. Our leader was Robert Paturel, a former 6-time Savate champion, police officer, an all-around tough guy.
So, what is this place? Where are we right now?
Où sommes-nous en fait? À quoi ça ressemble? Donc ici c'est un groupe d'intervention qui s'appelle le RAID. Et the place of the RAID is a special force group, police.
So are they basically the SWAT team of France?
Like the same, yeah.
How difficult would you say it is to get into this organization?
There are selections that are physically a bit hard, yeah. It's an elite group.
Since its founding in 1985, RAID has been called upon to control riots, storm buildings to rescue hostages, and infiltrate and destroy Islamic terrorist cells. RAID is unique among police special forces units because it recruits not just from the police, but from all walks of life, including Savate fighters. Today, RAID is made up of assault teams numbering 70 people, 25% of whom are former fighters, including some European and world champions.
In hand-to-hand combat situations, the elite officers of RAID rely on their Savate training to help them survive. But unlike the ring sport, here, it's anything goes.
They've taken all the blows that was forbidden, strikes forbidden like low blows or strike to the throat, so they can strike with everything, with the shoulder, with the head, with even with the chest.
Now, what's some of the moves that we can learn here that would help us in a Savate fight?
Alors aujourd'hui, ils vont apprendre une technique qui s'appelle, je vais la démontrer tout à l'heure, là, qui s'appelle le balayage.
Here you're gonna learn about the sweeping with the leg. You can go to a guy and sweep him and take him to the ground.
Sounds good. Good one.
Things up balance, huh?
Yeah, really. Is that fun for you?
Oui, oui,
Yeah, it's okay. Can he do it and slow it down as he's doing it to me, so we can see the technique?
Au ralenti pour que voilà.
The key to setting up the sweep is the aggressive punches. These get your opponent moving backwards.
And with like here.
As he does, you step behind him, hooking the top of your foot against the back of his ankle.
That was good.
I just like watching Bill fall.
Yeah.
That's my gauge of a technique. If he can do it to him, it works. I'll train it. I'll use it.
This move uses the same principle as a throw in judo, off-balancing your opponent and then using his momentum to send him down. But it's much more aggressive. The sweep here is actually a strike to one of the most sensitive areas of the body, the Achilles tendon.
Not doing it right. Oh, I'm not getting this. Ah, God, I suck.
Il a pas passé la range.
But you have to make your hips. Yeah, I know, I got it. Move your hips towards.
Push, push, push.
Push here.
Oh, I got it. Get him off balance first, Jason. Well, just like everything I learned in martial arts, this is a lot harder than it looks.
But if you can get this down, your leg to the size of a tree trunk. You're going to be able to take out anybody.
Absolutely. Let's try it a little bit more.
All right.
Off balance.
Even though in Savate you don't score any points for knocking your opponent down, there is a reason for using this move in a match.
It's useful to send your opponent on the floor because it's tiring him, you know. Every time getting up is making him more and more tired.
Did you get more tired getting up?
I did.
Then it's working.
Now that we had the basics of the move down, it was time to try it out in the ring.
All right, now come back.
For that, Officer Paturel matched us up against a couple of his top guys.
Then come back. Turn. If you stay in front of him, he's gonna kick.
Well, you can lose your balance on that.
Then it was my turn.
If you want to attack, if you're close to him, he cannot strike you. But you can. But if you stay at his distance, he's gonna strike you.
I stepped into the ring expecting some Savate sparring, but this guy surprised me and turned it into a street fight.
He's going a little harder than my guy.
First, he caught me with a knee to the face. Then a low blow, an illegal kick to the groin.
Good.
But the worst was a strike to my knee. That was going to hurt for a while.
It's a lot harder when you're actually moving with a guy that has good balance, unfortunately.
Next, Paturel took us outside and showed us a jab, kick, cross combo that could put an opponent down for the count. It's called the direct fouette direct.
Jab, jab. Kick, cross.
Cocking his arms like a pistol, a fighter drives the hardest bones in the hand, the knuckles, straight into his opponent's face. The fighter then drives the tip of his toe into his opponent's midsection.
With the opponent still reeling, the coup de grace is a powerful cross to the weakest point on the skull, the temple, delivering up to 2,000 pounds of force.
Jab, jab. Kick, cross.
Leading with the near arm, the first jab travels the shortest distance to the opponent. So what it lacks in force, it makes up for in speed. The second punch, utilizing both the twist of the shoulders and the forward momentum of the kick, can carry over 4 times as much impact. And just a few hundred pounds of force to the temple is enough to cause a knockout.
So we're going to just block that jab and pull it to you and throw out your own jab. And it's kind of weird here because you want to throw a roundhouse, but in Savate, remember, you're using hard shoes. So that little kick in the front to the solar plexus really does some damage. Hit the kick, drop the right. Fight's over.
Okay.
Our fight with Issa Sissoko was fast approaching, but we had one more stop. France's top national sports facility, INSEP. There we would train with some of Savate's deadliest fighters. The Bois de Vincennes are thick woods bordering Paris. Once the hunting grounds for French royalty, the woods were transformed into a military training base under Napoleon I after the French Revolution.
In 1852, Prince Napoleon III formed École de Janville here to train armies in the hand-to-hand combat of Savate. It's a tradition that continues today. These grounds are the home of the French National Institute of Sport and Physical Education, or INSEP, France's top training camp.
We're here to work with a champion fighter under the watchful eye of Gilles Ledwigo.
Nice.
He's really fast with his legs, so hands up. No! Not too bad. Regarde. show me a maximum of variety. Low, middle, and high. If you always attack with the same thing, first thing is gonna take him, second time, okay, maybe, but after that, he knows you. So you have to change, to be different, to give the surprise for him.
I found out I have to move a lot more in a Savate fight. If I don't, I'm going to get kicked in the leg 1,000 times. Now I got to go out, do some bikes, do some running, God knows what else, and train harder because there's a real Savate fight coming.
Salut. En garde. Allez. Voilà, c'est ça. Stop. Okay, but the problem is your moving is like this. You know? You need to be more dynamic on your step. Because if you're like this, he kick you and he go, you don't have time to react. If you're like this, he kick you, then you can react to another kick also. Okay?
I was just starting to get the hang of it when I took a tough shot to the same knee I bashed up at Ray.
Okay, that's pretty good. Are you okay? Your stamina is okay? I see. Yeah, I see. I can see that. That's why I say stop. I think you did a good work today. So you need to maybe fix your legs with ice. Maybe ice is good.
Ice is good.
Yeah.
Bruised and battered, that evening, Gilles took us down to the river to meet the man who's credited with keeping Savate alive through the bloodiest war in history, Roger Lafond.
The trenches of World War I had a devastating effect on Savate. 8 million French soldiers fought in the war. 4 million were injured, and almost 2 million were killed. Among these were many of the great masters of Savate. When war broke out again in 1939, the few remaining fighters went back into combat, where many more were killed or captured.
In 1940, Lafond was captured by the Germans at Verdun and sent to a POW camp in France.
He explained when he was prisoner, to practice box was forbidden, okay? But
as a former instructor at École de Genève, Lafond was determined to keep Savate alive, so he began to teach French prisoners how to box and cane fight. But he refused to train the camp guards, which landed him in solitary confinement for 21 days and a transfer to a forced labor camp in Germany. Despite the harsh treatment, Lafond continued to instruct his fellow prisoners in the art of Savate. His passion and persistence eventually earned him a nickname by his captors, Sport Führer. After the war, Lafond opened up 7 Savate schools in Paris. The schools secured Savate's survival.
The next morning, we woke up at dawn and met Gilles at Castle Vincennes, a former military stronghold for the kings of France.
Only in France do you do hard training around the most beautiful things you've ever seen in your life.
That's right.
Kind of hard to concentrate when you have a 500-year-old castle to your right. And
We don't get a lot of those in Jersey, you're saying?
no.
okay, there is 4 gold rules. Why you look my leg?
Because I'm looking at your leg.
I know.
Gotta
My
keep your
leg
eyes on him.
Okay, the first is to always to look your partner in your eyes. If I look me in my eyes, yes, you have. If I hurt your legs, it is not your leg who give me information that you are hurting. Only your hand. Your arms. The second rule is always your arm here. Because if you do that, it's finished. Good.
Hands up.
First rule is always to move. Always to move. Here! Move. And the fourth is to never change guard. Sky!
Those crucial split seconds when changing stance can leave you wide open to a snap kick.
Good.
Gilles is really putting this together for me. I mean, it doesn't matter how many kicks and punches you know, unless you know when to throw them and the distance you're at, it means nothing. Look your man in the eye, attack him, and then see if you hurt him. That's what Gilles taught me.
As our training continued, we could feel our skills improving. Gilles put us through a series of tough exercises designed to improve our speed, precision, and power. Whether we were hitting rubber dummies in the gym or rowing laps in the river, Gilles was right by our side.
You are not in holiday. We are here for working. Okay, Bill?
Okay.
What I really like about Gilles is you can tell not only is he a great competitor, but he's a great coach. He knows how to push you, motivate you, and keep you going and focused at the same time, and that's really going to come through in the ring.
Under Gilles' tutelage, we'd both come a long way. We were ready to fight and knew it.
2, 3, 4.
Soon, one of us would have to face one of the most vicious champions Savate had ever produced.
Gilles left us with some final words of advice from his victory in Japan, one of the most famous fights in Savate history.
When against the Japanese fighter, my 2 arms was broken. It was impossible in my head to imagine a defeat. I changed completely my strategy to move more and more and more and more. Quicker with my kick, no punches. I was winner. Like in the life, I don't like the defeat. I don't like it. And in Savate, for me, impossible to imagine the defeat.
Gilles' a tough guy.
How many fights have you had, Gilles?
114.
114 fights?
Yes, 114. But
that is a lot of fights. We need to just get through one, Bill. Hopefully with no broken arms.
Our final stop is Gymnase Georges Racine in Paris, where we'll get a chance to put our training to the ultimate test. It's time to face a heavyweight champion.
Savate was born in the back alleys of a society so violent it sentenced its entire ruling class to death. It's among the toughest fighting disciplines in the world. Stepping into the ring with a professional saboteur isn't something most people aspire to do. But that's exactly why we'd come to Gymnase Georges Racine in Paris. Inside, Gilles introduced us to our opponent, 2002 French Savate champ, Issa Sissoko. What's his favorite technique?
Kind of to do turn technique.
Well, I think Bill and I need to have a little chat then and figure out which one of us is going to partake in the fight tonight. So it was a pleasure meeting you guys. We'll see you guys in a little bit. How you feeling, Bill?
Feel good. So here's the deal. You got a little banged up on this trip. And that guy's pretty big.
Man, I was really looking forward to boxing, too.
Well, you're down, I'm up, work my corner. Hopefully, we can make it through this.
All right, man. Well, let's get you changed.
All right. It's an interesting feeling before a fight. You're getting your hands wrapped in a dingy locker room. It smells like 50 people were sweating and snorting snot all over this place.
Makes you feel like you're about to get into a fight, huh?
Makes you feel like you're about to get into a fight. Basically, my background is wrestling, karate, and a lot of submission stuff, so that doesn't really come into play in this field. And I've had some training in boxing and striking, and a little bit of training here in Savate. Obviously not as many years as he's had. So this guy has technique out the butt on me.
Let's go. There you go. I'm going to be yelling at you 3 things. Hands up, chin down, 1, 2. There you go. And take a seat. Take a seat on your punches means to drop your weight. Yeah, use that jab again. 1, 2, drop your weight. There you go. And across behind it. Right. Good.
Feel good? As ready as I'm gonna be. This is a great feeling. We're gonna smash each other for 3 rounds and then come back and hug. That's what real men do.
3 2-minute rounds. That's a lot more exhausting than you think. The winner will be declared on points, unless there's a knockout.
Before the fight began, Issa and I gave each other the Savate salute. It's a symbolic gesture that pays tribute to Savate's founders, in a ritual that begins every match.
Breathing, moving. Breathing, we're moving, and we're sitting on our punches. Breathing, moving, sitting on our punches, okay? Let's get ready.
For the first 2 minutes, Issa and Bill went kick for kick, blow for blow. He'd hit him high, and Bill hit him low.
This was the kind of combat the training at Raid had prepared me for. Fighting against all odds just for survival. This was combat at its most real, and its most desperate. As the clock ticked down on the first round, I saw my chance to use something we'd learned. I hit him with a perfectly timed chasse kick. The chasse kick got me a point, but at the end of round 1, Issa had the lead.
What I need you to do more is I need you to put your combinations together. He has no power in his kicks, he has no power in his hands, and he's afraid when you get in close. He's standing outside, and then he has no balance. I want you to throw right, and then throw a left hook and get out.
Issa fired a couple of quick kicks to start off the round, and I hit him hard and fast with jabs.
Issa took advantage of the break and came out swinging, landing a hard right to Bill's chin. This thing was getting ugly fast, more like an old-school street fight than an aristocratic sport. But these guys were using every dirty trick to gain an edge over their opponent.
After 2 rounds, I had narrowed the gap.
Keep ducking my right.
Huh?
Keep ducking my right.
So now, throw a right, back up, and throw a right uppercut underneath it. Bill, here's what I want you to do next time. Fute, right uppercut, left hook, right cross. Okay? Fute, uppercut, hook, and cross. I want to see it right now.
Our strategy was working. Bill had Issa rocked back on his heels. It looked like power might just trump technique in this fight. But both guys were spent, and it showed.
Right, uppercuts, all day, all day!
Tell you what, that guy was tough. What a human weapon. He put together 3 rounds of hell for me. I got a new respect for Savate, what he threw at me out there. The distance is so different from a fight, from a street fight, from a boxing fight. It's so much further away. Because those kicks come, and you think there's no way he can hit me with that kick. And it hits, and you feel it every time. What a fight. Woo!
All that was left was the judge's decision.
Well, you know what? I'm pretty happy with the tie in the sport I've been doing for a week against a French champion. This has been a great experience for me. Savate has opened up new doors and windows to my striking ability, and I can't wait to see what I can do in the future.
Our time here had opened our eyes to the power and the discipline of France's fighters. Everywhere we went, we'd encountered aggressive saboteurs totally committed to this violent sport. And we'd seen how a bloody street fighting style has grown into one of the toughest martial arts in the world.